Okay, the recall for the protection dog or the sports dog, the competition dog. So what we're going to talk about here quickly is how to teach a fast, precise recall. This is not your recall that you use at your house. I think I'm going to start by saying just know that you cannot use your competition recall command in your house. You need to have two different recall commands if that is your need. But your competition command should be sacred in a way. All your competition commands should be sacred. So your dog needs to understand when it hears that command that nothing else matters, this is what I need to do. Okay, so usually what we prefer doing is our formal recall command usually is Foes. So at my house we are Afrikaans speaking, so my commands in the house is just my dog's name, or come here in Afrikaans is kom. So I won't use that same commands on the field, and I won't use my field commands at home.
The other thing is, when I do call my dog at home, my sports dog at home, and I use the command at home, I don't expect him to come and sit here by me. I just need him to come to me.
Yes.
I do not use, because when Molly started this video and she said you don't use it, and a lot of people say why, but I use it in my house. But the thing is, on the sports field, I always have the ability to reward the recall. That's why my recall, or Molly's recall, is so good, because on the sports field we always have the ability to reward our dogs with their toys, and we also have the ability to correct the dog, because we have all our training aids and everything there. But when you're at home and you use that recall, and there's your dog is probably playing with another dog in the corner over there, or there's something more interesting in the corner over there, and you give it a second command, you give it a third command, and there's no consequences for listening, because in the sports, if I give one command, there's consequences for not listening. The dog now learns that he can get away with it, and that recall command of yours just goes null and void. It doesn't mean anything. That's why we do not use our competition commands or our training commands at home for everyday life.
Okay, then once you've got that established, now we have to break our exercise up. So what does our recall consist out of? It consists out of a stay. Usually it's a stay where we leave the dog, move away from it, and then recall it. It's a fast sprint towards you, and then it's the very nice finish, either the front AKC finish or the the service finish, where it comes directly into heel. Okay, so that's our three compartments, but elements, maybe?
Yeah, three elements
of our recall that we have to train. So recalls, we start teaching recalls from puppy with food. So usually this is how we do it, and this is how we start. So usually our first step is someone is always holding the little puppy, and we're gonna tease it with what, usually it's food for a puppy, because they're very highly food motivated. So you're gonna tease it, let it smell the food, and you're gonna run away calling their name usually, but not your recall command, but like just to get them excited about the fact that you are running away. And the puppy is allowed to
vocalize.
Yes, and be excited
Excited.
and pull at the end of the leash of the person holding it, or by the
the little
collar
harness.
or the harness, whatever. So you want the puppy to be out there screaming, trying to get to you. Then you will stop, turn and face the puppy, all formal, like he's the picture he's going to see one day, and you're going to give that recall command, which for us it's Foes. And the person at that stage, the person outside is going to let the puppy go, and then comes running to you, and it gets his little reward here by you. So that's usually the first step of how we start these fast recalls. So we'd like to start with the speed element first.
And the other thing is, remembering we're working with a puppy now, is we are not going to tease the puppy and, I almost said the word, there's the word, for 150 meters away to recall the puppy. Start off like just by 5 meters. So I like from the very beginning, when I recall the puppy, I act like a clown, I play, I show it the food, I run off and I immediately go and stand at my position of my recall position and I call. I'm not going to stand there for 10 minutes. It is a quick 1-2 seconds and I'm going to give the recall command and the puppy comes and I'm going to bend down and reward the pup. And this is usually starting off with 5 meters.
Speed first. Why speed first? Because precision and the obedience of a stay is going to break down your motivation. So we need to first create the habit of running to you as fast as possible. That's your first goal. Your stay will be taught in a total different setting. And number one, I'm just saying this, but it's not the important for this video, but we do not teach little puppies stays so quickly or stays that are not motivational. So if you teach a little puppy to stay with food, that's fine, but no harsh corrections. That also breaks your drive and motivation, but that's for another video. So you're going to teach your stay separate, and the dog is going to progress in this stay exercise for months and before you're going to put it with your recall. Then our other element is our finish. That is also something that you start as a puppy already, getting those puppies to come in the first position next to you, sitting in front of you, coming in. So that is something that you train separately. You can in the same training session do that, but you don't put the thing together. So what we don't want is we don't want the dog, the beginner dog or puppy, running with speed towards you and then having to slow down so it can think of coming in with precision next to you. So we don't want that. We want them flying through. So only later will we then put these two things together.
So yet again, having your pup now and you're progressing with the food, and at a later stage also lengthening the stay now with your puppy. You've done this now quite a bit of times and we don't train it together. I always like just training my recalls after my my little training session I just had with the puppy. So I like training doing it as a fun exercise. So I'll most probably do my sits and my downs and all those kind of things that I have to do with my pup. And then to finish everything off, I will do the recall and I'll do it as fun as possible. So it is the recall exercise is almost like an added reward for the dog. So it really enjoys that recall. When I give the recall command, it really enjoys coming back to me. And obviously I'll do it with the frustration. I won't do somebody holding the pup. I won't have doing it with somebody with a stay or anything, because we don't treat the stays. But now we've progressed. All right, now so we've progressed with the food. Puppy's getting a little bit older. Now we're moving on to a toy.
Yeah.
And this is where things get interesting, because this is now where we're going to do exactly the same. Obviously now we've been playing with a toy. We've been playing engagement with our young, our little bit older pup. Engagement, guys, it loves the toy. When you throw it in the tall glass, it'll go to search for it. We have classically conditioned that toy to something like really nice and fun and important, and we have now started working the dog for the sits and the downs and the reward with our markers. What now that, okay, the toy, so we're using the toy. So now we're going to go with a toy, and yet again with frustration we're going to have the toy, we're going to run, we're going to call the dog, and out pops the toy. And we show that toy, and what I like doing in the beginning is just throwing that toy 2 or 3 meters past me like this, so that the dog passes me on the left hand side, not on the right, because my dog comes into heel on my left hand side. Go past my left hand side, over and over and over, because yet again I don't want to have my dog running at me at 60 kilometers an hour and then 10 meters in front of me has to slow down because it has to think what it's going to do. I'm going to lose points in the sport that we do. So we're going to do with the toy now just like we did with the food. Where the food was puppy was coming in, it can't run that fast, but now because it can run faster, I use the toy. Or sometimes what I'll do is as that dog comes towards me, obviously I'm using markers and I see that dog is like rushing. I mark that, I give it a terminal marker, and out pops the toy next to me like this, and the dog runs past and grabs the toy and goes past me. I want him to go through the whole time.
Yeah, so important to remember there as well, because as the dog is progressing, we are also progressing maybe in equipment. So it's important to clip the dog onto a flat collar for the person holding the dog. So we want the dog, once again, to push into the collar, to want to go, to have fun. So we don't want to clip it on a choke chain or clip it on a prong collar or anything like that, because that's just going to break down our motivation. So remember to clip them on a flat collar so that they can enjoy themselves when doing the recall.
The other thing I like doing also with a dog now that's more developed, physically developed, and it's also got more power, is what I like to do as the guy holding the dog and somebody calling the dog is on that leash. Once they call their dog, is I like to be a weight behind it a little bit for about 5 or 10 meters, that a dog drag me, and then all of a sudden, as the trainer or the handler of the dog say the terminal marker, I let it go. And then all of a sudden there's this burst of energy, and that burst of power that happens when you let the dog go. It creates more frustration, and all of a sudden you just have this, it's really working to get there, and all of a sudden it gets that yes, and boom, it pushes off. I do that, I wouldn't do that 50 times in a session. I'll do that maybe twice in a session with those other recalls, just to get some really more frustration in, and getting that dog to understand that he has to put everything possible in the speed of that recall. So in the sports that we do, we do PSA. It is a 7-point exercise just for speed. Sorry, it's not a 7-point exercise, just the speed alone is 7 point, and the finish is 3 points. So you would really like to not lose points, because if your speed is correct, you've already got 70% for it. So if you have a mediocre finish, you're still going to pass that scenario. But the thing is, you want to have that enormous speed, and it's not difficult to get.
Okay, so now you've been training this speed for a while, and then remember at the same time, or on different times, but what I'm meaning is having it developed alongside each other at the same time as your finish. So make sure to train that as well, and you can even go as far as maybe doing it a meter, letting the dog sit like a meter in front of you and navigating and learning how to get in next to you. Some people like dogs to come around, like also in front. Doesn't matter what element you choose or what method you choose, you just train that separately to your speed. That's the most important thing. So
we both look.
Okay, so now next thing that we're going to start phasing out is the person holding the dog. So you have to understand that I'm going to talk about a puppy because it's just easier for people to understand how long it takes. So you start your recall as a puppy, and now your dog is, let's say, here by 10, 11 months. Now we're going to phase the person out. So that means that's a good 5 months of training speed. Okay. So, but before we can do that, is our stay needs to be trained. So you, at the same time, were working on your stay. So before we can phase that person out, we need a solid stay. So now our next step is, once the dog can do a downstay, you're going to leave the dog in a downstay, you're going to walk away, and you're going to call it for that toy. And at your first one, you can actually show him that toy and motivate him to come, so they can make that connection of going from someone holding to doing it all on their own, and that they are now allowed, that's another big, allowed to actually break that stay to come towards you. So because hopefully before that you're always going back for stays, but like I say, stays definitely bigger.
Okay, so now you must remember this, that first call out of the stay, let's say the downstay, I like teaching the downstay and then calling them out of the downstay, or then I do the sit stay because it's more difficult to break the downstay. I will then, it's the first one, that dog is going to it doesn't know, am I going to get corrected for breaking the stay, or what's happening here now? So you're going to need a little bit added motivation. So I like running backwards, and showing the dog that toy, running backwards, begin being like a clown, and the dog comes, and I'm going to, as soon as that dog breaks that stay now, because I gave it the command, I'm going to mark it. So you constantly hear me talking about markers. We also do have marker videos out there. We will make some better marker videos later on. If I say better ones, maybe go more in depth with marker training. But we do have a marker training video out there on YouTube on our protection dogs. So I'm going to motivate that a couple of times with running backwards and then stand still, and I'm going to show the toy, and the dog's going to come out, just so that I can now show the dog a different picture, because I have had everything separate so far. So the dog doesn't understand the complete picture yet. I need to show it the complete picture of the stay, breaking the stay, coming back to me, and now all of us, and I'm also not going to do the finish that day either. All I'm going to do is I'm going to teach it that when I give you this command, you can break the stay and come back to me, and you're going to go past. You're going to go past.
Everything
you're going
else
to go
still
past.
stays the same.
Everything just else stays the same. I'm just going to change one thing now, and that is you're allowed to break the stay with a command.
Yes. So that recall command, the dog breaks the stay, comes running. So now we are again going to spend a few months on that version of the exercise. So now we're going to teach the dog to like really launch out of that stay as fast as possible, coming to us as fast as possible. We're going to do our stays at different positions, all those kind of different locations, calling them, all those kind of things. Then, only then, after this, do we now, and we feel like we've got so much speed and there's not much more we can teach. Now we're going to put that exercise together where we're actually going to bring in that finish. So I think people like stress too much about the finish always. They're so worried about that perfection. Like Charles said before, the perfection is not a lot of points. The speed is. I'm not concentrating.
This is why I'm not concentrating. This is why I'm not concentrating.
Little Gatsby. Female. Okay. So now where we okay, so your dog is running towards you out of that stay. Now we're gonna put it together. So the first thing I like to do is I do everything the same, but I'll go back to maybe showing the dog the toy at the end and maybe coaxing it in a little bit. Also remember that hopefully you do have that coming into heel command already from developing your thing side to side. Okay, so now we're just going to put it together. Don't expect the dog to do it right the first few times, and don't be upset if the dog overshoots or is skew, or those things are going to happen. Like, you need a few repetitions now to fix that or to bring that in. But now then what's going to happen next is, because we brought in the precision and because the dog now needs to slow down in order to come in next to us, we are going to lose some speed. So I will spend a few, it depends on the dog and it depends how easy the dog finds the exercise, but I would spend some time, a few training sessions, to call the dog in next to me, but not more than 2 or 3. 3 is really pushing it if the dog really struggles, before I'll go back to just calling it through again. So you will always go back to calling them through again. So you need to get your dog then on a variable reward system of sometimes it comes in next to you, sometimes it goes past, and that unpredictability and that suspense of the dog wondering when is it going to be that I can just run through is going to keep that speed and make him work so hard all the time. So I would say 80% to 90% of running through and 10% of coming in with the actual finish.
You can't, that side by side that Marley was talking about, you cannot have your speed here, but your stays here and your finishes over here. They need to be at equal things. So, and the other thing is with finishing, we will make a video on finishing, is I'm going to have like a 3-meter radius around me. I'm going to be able to call my dog at any degree to come to me. So I'm going to have my dog going to sit over there, and he needs to do the finish over here. Yeah, it doesn't matter where it is. So the dog understands when I give it the command, the finish command, or that, he knows exactly this is where I need to be. So I'm obviously going to use the same command. We use the same command, the recall command, as also the finish command. But the dog sees it as a different picture. It's the same command, but it's a different picture. So it does this all around me like this, and it comes into the finish. So now when I do recall it and I give it the finish command, obviously it's going to be sloppy the first time, maybe the second time, and then I'm going to bring it through again. My dog is, both our dogs are at a high PSA level, and when I train my recalls, I will do 3-4 recalls, and out of 3-4 recalls, I'll have 1 finish. The rest is all going through. So that I work on the precision of my finish with the dog being right here by me, and not when I'm doing the recall.
So I think I'm going to end off this video with, because I was trying to think while Charles was talking, like what kind of mistakes do people make commonly with a recall, and why do they have slower recalls even with using this method? Is and the biggest thing that I've seen is people settle for slow recalls. So I'm not talking about if you have this big dog and he is physically going as fast as he can that you're settling. I'm talking if you can see that your dog can run faster. If it can run faster after a bird or something, then it can run faster in the recall. But people get lazy in a way where they will... It's just people. Hey, come, Millie. So people get lazy in with their training. They will just, the dog's coming, let's reward. The dog's coming, we reward. So that's nothing. Make sure you reward the good ones. And if it's really not fast, don't reward the dog, do it again. So don't settle for slow recalls. Millie, thank you. Come here. Millie, Millie. Come, baby. Good girl.
Making a recall video and the dog doesn't listen to you. All right. So the other thing I also see what people must do mistakes in this is they always want to go too quickly. On Monday they're doing speed. On Friday they're doing recalls and precisions, and it takes months. It really takes months to train a sports dog, and that is something is don't rush it. Habituate the dog to the commands that you want it to do, and make sure that you as a trainer understand what the picture should look like before you want to train that to your dog. So have a look at those guys out there. Look at those IGP, it's still IGP, right? Okay, they haven't changed it again. Those IGP recalls, look at those PSA recalls that the guys do. Look at those, any sports where there's recalls, and look at that world champions and see that guy and have that picture, because it's not because they're world champions that they can do it. All dogs run fast. It's just that they keep on doing it, and they don't take, they don't settle for the slow recall. You go, he's too naughty. So
sleep well now.
That is one thing that you have to push yourself and go and have a look and know what that picture should look like before you want to train that to your dog, and take your time. You can't do it in a week.
So I hope this was a little bit of a help for your recall, or that I put answer some questions. So you can use this method to go back and fix recalls as well. So if you don't have a puppy and you've got an adult and you want to go break up your recall, you can do that. Just keep in mind it might take a little bit longer of repetitions. So I'm talking months, people. Months of sending the dog running through. So excitement, motivation, breaking up the exercise is the way to go for a fast recall.